I don't really know why, but I really badly want to read this book here right now. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I've heard a few good things about this, and I'm pretty sure it's about this couple who live in this house. And then I think either some people or a couple, they come to the door and like, oh yeah, we used to live here. Can we come and have a look around? And then the owners are like, okay. So I think, yes, I really like this cover. There's all the birds on it. I'm really curious to read this. So yeah, let's get reading, I guess. This book I'm reading, I don't know why, it's so unintentionally funny. It's supposed to be like scary kind of type book. The main character is describing this like weird experience that she's had, as in like, oh, this is actually really creepy, like the guy who was being so scary. And then her partner is just like, so he was standing with his back turned and he didn't hit, and it's not even funny. I don't know why I'm laughing. It's not funny at all. I can just imagine just the slow blinking and like, that's it.
Not the overgrown toenails.
This book is so nostalgic. It is so good. I am really loving this, and dare I say, I feel like it's 5 stars. I don't explain this until later, but let me just give you the rundown. This book was originally on Reddit on the No Sleep forum, and when I was younger, I would religiously watch this girl's YouTube videos. Her name was Courtney. She would often read from this subreddit, and I was addicted to her videos. I would watch them all the time. She would read different scary stories. She'd read Let's Not Meet stories, which were also from Reddit, but different thing. Authors would send her their stories to read. This book, when I found out that it used to be on that, it was very nostalgic for me. That's what I'm talking about, because I explain this, but I don't explain this until a little bit later. Because it's just with Courtney's videos, and when she would read especially the no sleep scary stories, there was just always this very specific eerie, everything terrible is going on, character is always alone, because being alone is more scary than being with a group, because you know the safety numbers, and there was just a specific vibe to those stories, which I just loved. And so this is bringing me back to my 12 and 13-year-old self, and it's making me so happy that it's just reminding me of that, the writing style, everything. I am currently in the middle of 2 other books, but I just want to read this one here. I can see it, so I'm gonna read it. I watched the show last week. I like how it says limited series only on Sky Atlantic. I don't know what that is. I definitely didn't watch it on that. The font in this book is nice. Guys, look at the font. Okay, so let me tell you what Sharp Objects is about. The family isn't nuclear, it's toxic. Sent to investigate the disappearance of 2 little girls, Camille Preeker finds herself reluctantly installed in the family mansion. Reacquainting herself with her distant mother and a precocious 13-year-old half-sister she barely knows. Haunted by a family tragedy, troubled by the disquieting grip her younger sister has on the town, Camille struggles with the familiar and need to be accepted. That girl was 13. Sorry, I'm just remembering who she was in the series. But as clues head into dead ends, Camille finds herself identifying with the young victims and realizing she'll have to unravel the puzzle of her own past if she is to survive this homecoming. Oh, is this the author of Gone Girl? I do not like that book, so hopefully this one is better. Have my annotation supplies. I'm gonna be sick. Why would you want to sit yuck on the shower floor? Yuck, yuck, yuck. Yuck, that's actually... Stop. That's disgusting. Let me talk about We Used to Live Here. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I did rate it 5 stars. If it wasn't the No Sleep nostalgia, I would have rated it 4.5, so still really good. My experience with No Sleep. When I was younger, I was obsessed with this one girl's videos. Her name was Courtney. She would do these scary storytellings. She'd read from so many things, and one of the forums on Reddit that she would read from was the No Sleep forum, which is these stories that were quite, I don't know how to describe it, but like when I remember her videos about the no sleep, basically there's always an aspect in the stories of just weird stuff going on. There was a level of like the main character needs to be alone, which I really do appreciate because there's safety numbers. So obviously a book where there's like multiple characters, that is not going to be scary at all, because it's like, oh, there's so many people, whatever. Or if they're with other characters, the experience is unsettling. So in the case of this book, the family themselves are unsettling, and then the weird neighbor, she's also unsettling. But another story that I remember, I can't remember now, it was really weird because the guy, he was in the library researching and it was so busy, and then all of a sudden he looks up and then all the lights are off and everyone's missing. Just like just weird stuff, you know, because like if there are people, then they didn't leave, or like they're not with them, so the characters aren't like always alone, but you know. Also, the ending is never really happy. I don't recall any of them being like a happy ending. So many of them would have like such like a weird, like twisty, like kind of sad or disturbing ending, or like dark, disturbing, like I don't know, the maps and everything. And I liked it. Like, this is definitely a book that I will reread because I loved it so much. And if there are any more like no sleep stories that have been traditionally published, let me know. Well, I guess even just like rewritten, because like obviously the no sleep stories are not this long, but if there are, let me know. And also, as soon as this author publishes another book, I will be reading it because I actually love this. Okay, so basically the premise of the story is this woman. She is at this house and she's in it, like, because she and her partner, they, you know, buy houses, like, do them up. This house is, they got a really good deal on it. Our main character, she's by herself, and then one day this family comes to the door, and the dad, he's like really charming, he's like really nice, and he's like, look, I used to live here. Can I just show my kids around, whatever? So she lets them in, and then he's like, you know, pointing out specific things, so it's like obvious that he did actually used to live there, because it's like the chandelier, like what happened to the, well, it's the deer antlers chandelier, and he's like, what happened to the deer antlers chandelier? And so there's a whole bunch of like things like that, and then he's just showing them around. Go down to the basement. The basement is creepy. I love creepy basements and stories. I just love it so much. But they go down to the basement, and then essentially what happens is something happens and they have to stay. They do not want to leave this house. And the main character, she is a people pleaser. She does not like letting people down. And honestly, I can't even be mad at her for that, because like, first of all, I just would have never opened the door, because if someone knocks at the door, I'm not opening it. She did, because she looked at them and they looked like a harmless family. I would have pretend I wasn't home, but the family like wasn't weird. So I said, it's got that addicting writing style, which makes sense if it was really on No Sleep, because on No Sleep, you have to hold people's attention. I was not bored at all. I went in not knowing much, and I even had the wrong idea about what this even was. I thought it was a family living in the house and then someone comes to the door, but no. But I liked it because it was like a surprise. I found it really entertaining. I loved the basement. The fact that there was so many different rooms, different passageways. It's like literally was my dream as a child to live in a house with like a million different passageways and a haunted manor with, you know, special doors and like hidden doors and hidden rooms under the house and like in the house, and like there's also one of those is it called? I can't remember what it's called, but one of those things. They literally describe it in this book and they explain why it's called that. It's called like this lazy something. It's not something lazy. It's like the chute where you can put the dumb waiter. The reason why they call it that, like the historically, not sleigh, it's like the chute thing that you can put food in and then like get it to rooms and stuff. I remember there's this movie it's like Pet Sematary, the newer version, and I just remember like that one specific scene where the sister got in the chute thing. But it's also kind of like this book, it's also written in kind of a really like humorous kind of way as well. Like there are so many like lines and things that are just funny, and I really do appreciate that. But as soon as this author writes another book or comes out another book, I'll be immediately buying it because I really did like this. And I love Charlie so much. She's so funny. It's just, I love how blunt she is. And that was the last time Uncle Benji shared his story of the yellow-eyed monster. I like the characters. They have 3 kids. And one of the daughters, she kind of like runs away a lot and hides a lot. And the other kid is like, we should get her a harness. But he's been like dead serious. Because I think the No Sleep stories, whenever you could read them or listen to them, it was just like this sense of just dread while you're reading. And it was just so nostalgic. I like the setting, I like the characters, the atmosphere, storyline, eagerness of the past, weird things, because that's like, you know, the truth, but then things happen and it's like, well, is it? Like, what's going on? It's really bingeable. The main character knows the truth, but then it's kind of spun like they are someone who is crazy and they don't know what they're talking about. No one believes what they say. There's also a whole like Coraline-esque, upside down-esque kind of world situation thing. Oh, yay! Everything works out. It's just not. Even though I know what happens, it doesn't matter because it's just, I could just read it again and again and again. Even if it wasn't for the No Sleep nostalgia, I think I'd still give it 5 stars because I really like this. So, love this book. Would recommend it. See? Oh, that makes me feel old. 7 years ago? Pushed down the panic and fear that was quickly rising in my chest. I was on my stomach, so I moved my arms and hands around my body in case my flashlight was near me. The No Sleep one. Yeah, so definitely watch those videos if you like this book. This reading vlog is actually horrendous because did I give you any of my thoughts while reading it? No, I did not, but I did still want to tell you what I did think about this book because I feel like it's a waste if I don't, considering the whole point of this video, one of them is reading this book. Let's begin. I went to this book not knowing anything about it. All I knew was that it was obviously about a co-worker because the book title is called Co-worker. I didn't read the back. I honestly have never heard anyone, Well, I mean, I've heard people talk about this book, but I haven't heard them talk about what this book is about, so I didn't have any preconceived notions going in, which I feel like was really good, because the last book I read by Freida McFadden, I had expectations, and that was not what happened at all. Like, I basically just invented a new plot in my mind, which wasn't the case, and then I was like, oh, well, that plot would be having so much better than this. I read this book when I was sick. I'm still kind of sick. And I will say this. I read Never Lie when I was sick, and I feel like my hypothesis is that these books are perfect for when you are sick, for when you are in pain, your mind is all stuffy, you can't really think clearly. These are the best books to read because you do not really need to use any brain power. And the subtlety in these books is as subtle as a flying brick. So it's not like you have to be investigating everything, because I'll get to the point in a second, but really there's an art to Freida McFadden's books, and I don't know if it's like her system, but if you read her books, she has patterns and certain things that she like kind of does again and again, but just like with different characters and different things. So once you know that, it just easily pieces together in your mind. There is nothing I love more than when the cover actually is in reference to something in the book. And in this book, one of the characters had a red shoe. Her red shoes. It was constantly talked about. And I'm like, that's what's on the front cover. I don't know why. It's just, I do love when things like that are in the book. I don't know. I think covers are important. And especially when there are things in the book that match the cover, it's like, it's very satisfying for my brain. There are shifting perspectives in this book. It swaps perspectives quite a lot. I will say though, a lot of my criticisms are that when you're in someone's mind, if you swap over, if the writing doesn't change drastically, all the characters' tone of voice are just the exact same, and really that's quite disappointing because you want each of the characters, you want their voice to be able to stand on their own, so that if you were to read like 2 pages next to each other, you'd be able to identify who was who, and if words were jumbled up, you'd be able to tell who was who, because if not, then that's just kind of like, okay, well, the character's voice hasn't been developed enough. Dawn, you could always tell when it was her, because she would just be constantly talking about turtles, and you know what? Honestly, her constant talk about turtles made sure that if you could just pick a random page and it was someone talking about turtles and turtle facts, you would know that Dawn was talking, because Dawn loves turtles. She's always talking about turtles. She's got a turtle. She has turtles everywhere. This was a very quick and easy read. It was very fast paced. It was very entertaining. Once I started reading it, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna, maybe read it over the course of a few days. No, there was no case for that. I read this as fast as I possibly could because I just wanted to know what was going on, because they're just so like fast and quick and easy and mindless reads, really, which sometimes you need. It's not very complex at all, which is quite good again when you're sick and when you just want something that's just gonna, I do feel like I am a turtle expert now. I feel like a lot of people were reacting strangely to Dawn's request, and I honestly didn't think that. I thought that she had so many good ideas. So for example, one of them was, she was like, I'm gonna make a fridge cleaning schedule, which I think is a great idea. There was a period of time where I had to share a kitchen with a bunch of people, and people would just leave their stuff in there. So I just chucked it in the bin, and there was no system. So guess who did it? Me, because other people weren't gonna do it. And no one ever noticed. Sometimes I chuck out people's foods. No one would ever be like, where did that go? Because they've been molding in there for such a long time. It's like you could be having moldy food in the communal fridge. So I thought it was a wonderful idea when she was like, I'm gonna make a system. Also, making systems though, in like places like that, they never work. Also, I had to use a work fridge once. I will never do that ever again. It's not for me. Okay? Not for me. Instead, I bring in an insulated lunchbox and pack it in with ice bricks to keep it cold myself. I make my own fridge. There's a lot of mean girl behavior in this book between some characters. Bullying is also pretty talked about in this book. Honestly, Dawn says something really relatable in this. She's like, I wish I had a shell like a turtle and I could just retrieve into it. There are so many times where I'm feeling the exact same way, and I'm just like, I do wish that I could just pull back into a shell and just hide and not have to deal with people's judgment. Like, Dawn is like, she hates being late to places. There's nothing worse than being late to places, so she always gets there earlier than what she needs to. I always do that because I agree so much with that sentiment. I cannot stand being late, and I am always concerned that I'm gonna be late, and I always try to factor in case things are gonna show up that can cause me to be late. So for example, okay, this literally happened, I don't know, a few days ago. I'm driving my way to work, all right? I can't get out onto a main road because I don't know why, but there was like a whole bunch of, there wasn't a fire, but there was a whole bunch of fire trucks in an ambulance in the police cars. I don't know what was going on, but it was blocking the road, and the line was like a mile long. Thankfully, basically I had to pull out onto this road. There was about like, I want to say like 50 cars backed all the way back up there, but then some nice individual let me out and like let me go into them, and then it was fine. But like, still, imagine if I'd been stuck behind there. Would have been late. There's a pattern to her books that make you be able to decipher what's going on. So if you get that, then all the plot twists are so easy to guess. However, I don't mind it because I feel like a detective piecing things together. Is it going to be out of context? Right, out of context. It's the sort of thing you would do. Is absolutely diabolical. I mean, it's true, but it is. So the ending is a little bit, I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm talking about the epilogue ending. Like, not what happens, but yes, the connection that is formed and the bond that is formed. I wasn't expecting that. I mean, I kind of was. It's still a little bit of a shock. Also, because I went into this book without knowing much, I'm going to go in the same way. All you need to know is that there's a situation between co-workers. Okay, that's what you need to know, because I feel like going in without anything, it was worked well for me. So I'm going to also do the same for you. My mood reading has struck again. I'm going to read this because I want to read this. So I'm going to. Yeah, we'll cut back to this later. But I'm nervous because one of my packages got 2 books in it. It's supposed to be arriving, but it's supposed to be arriving with my other ones, but it hasn't arrived. So now I'm thinking that it's not going to arrive. No, everything always works out for me. I like this cover, by the way. I'm just going to pause my reading of this. It was actually really good. There's too many books and not enough time. How am I supposed to read all these books today? It's impossible. I can't. Let's discuss Craven Manor. So essentially what this book is about is this dude named Daniel. He's kind of fallen on hard times. He's having some tough luck, and he needs an opening. He just needs something, and he gets this job offer to be the groundskeeper at this place called Craven Manor, and it's a lot of money. And he's like, this is my chance. Against his better judgment, he moves into the groundskeeper's cottage tucked away behind the old family crypt. But when a candle flickers to life in the abandoned tower window, Daniel realizes he's alone after all. Craven Manor is hiding a terrible secret. Right off the bat, we know that Daniel is a very generous guy because he's doing it tough, but there's another woman who's also doing it tough, and he gives her his $20. I guess it just shows his character, which I think is good because I like when books like show a person's character rather than just being like, oh yeah, Daniel was a really generous guy. No, it like shows it. But yes, he's doing a tough time financially. There's a job crisis at the moment, and it's been going on for 6 months now. At the start, I really liked it. I liked the whole, like, unrest of the spirits and the undead and the creepy happenings. Like, literally, a dude gets thrown out a window. Like, I like stuff. I love the abandoned town. You know, there's, like, this also, like, there's a weird, like, infection, fungus, decay kind of thing that, like, links all the weird occurrences. It's a little bit, honestly, some parts I was a little bit like body horror. I could be saying the wrong thing, but I don't know. It was quite cozy. Again, like, it's just a pretty like standard. I rated about like 3 stars, but I'm glad I read it. And the ending was a little bit like, what? Like, what is going on? I don't think this book is going to like necessarily like stay with me. Like, if someone is like to me, give me book recommendations, I don't think this is going to be the first one that comes to mind. But even the first book that comes to mind from this author, like, I think when I think about this author, I really like Gallows Hill, but also that was a book that I read years ago. I was younger, and it was my first book from her, so I don't know if that's a little bit biased, but that's what I have to say. I'm tired. Hello everyone. So this book I was supposed to do a reading vlog for, and did I? No. Why? Because I binged the entire thing. I ended up getting my reaction for the end of A Love Letter to Whiskey. In this book there is also a novella from Jamie, who is the dude in this book, the male main character, if you will. A little novella from his perspective. Honestly, that novella really did throw me off because it was just such a big case of telling and not showing. And I know the whole point was that he was telling his side of the story, but he was genuinely telling his side. We hardly got to see things. And because this was a 5th anniversary edition, I feel like reading the novella after 5 years of not reading this one, or even a year or two, would have been very impactful. However, because I had literally just read A Love Letter Whiskey, I was seeing these scenes and I was like, well, we got that. And to be honest, his inner dialogue wasn't giving us that much, and there wasn't that to differentiate between the two. We got some of his perspectives on certain events, which I did like because it made me like him a bit more. It also explained a few things, which at first I was like, how can we just move past this? When I'm thinking about this book, I'm talking about it all mainly as a whole. I'm not really thinking about the whole love whiskey part, the novella part, because I was like, yeah, well, I read this immediately afterwards and it's so similar. I mean, it's literally the same scenes and we didn't get much. I feel like, yeah, it would be more impactful if you read it after a long passage of time, which I obviously did not. Now, I don't know what to say about this book, okay? I don't know what to say about it. When I was reading this book, there were times when I thought 100% a 5-star. Then, oh, I feel like this is a 1-star. Then maybe 4 stars. Then maybe 2 stars, 3 stars. I thought of literally pretty much every single rating for this book. I still don't know. The answer is I don't know. Now, I read this book yesterday, and yesterday was a day when I was dealing with trying to heal from some guy situation, okay? A situation that I thought that I had moved on from, had healed from, and then everything was derailed, and it was, so when I read this book, there were so many quotes and lines and things that were similar to what I was feeling in that moment. And that really resonated with me. What didn't resonate was cheating. I will never get behind cheating. Just break up. Break up. Tell the other person, I don't want this with you. I want to see other people. I want to break. I want to see other people. Okay? You don't have to cheat on someone. And there's a lot of cheating in this book. Okay? And I guess it's kind of written off like, well, they're fated to be together. So that just makes it okay. I feel like you have to definitely put in your mind that this book definitely is cheating, not with the main characters, like they don't cheat each other, they cheat on their respective partners. And the thing is, happens like 3 times with 3 separate people. And it's like, oh wow, so those 3 people, their trust has just been severely destroyed. Wow, well done. Just because you can't communicate with each other. And the whole point of this book is that, oh, the timing, blah, 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 timing is right, distance. There's always an excuse. There's also a lot of trauma in this book that's explored quite a lot, especially with B, and even just the reasoning behind her name. I definitely like seeing Jenna's friendship, but Jenna she's a lot better than me, can I just say? Because all I'm gonna say is we find out from the very beginning, okay? Literally from the very beginning. On the back, see, I saw him first, but it didn't matter because he saw her. Seeing her, that is Jenna, her best friend. So Jenna, she is so nice and forgiving, and also, why does this book kind of match her fur? But I did tab this book, which is where my conflicting feelings come in, because there were so many lines in this book that were so poetic, so beautiful, that just resonated with me on such a deep level. Also, there were so many situations in this book that were practically identical and parallel to what I was feeling. It's actually really funny. In one of my group chats I'm in, I basically, as I was, not doing really well last night, my friend was like to me, you need to read a book. She was like, go outside, go for a walk, read a book to me. And I was like, well, funny you say that, because I actually did read a book. I read this entire book, and then I proceeded to have to show them my annotations. So I've already kind of shared a lot of my annotations, but I'm going to also share them with you guys, because there is just something, but also it's kind of vulnerable to share. But I feel like I want to, because again, this book, it's such a hard thing, because the first such a long part of this book, I was like, it has to be 5 stars. I am feeling like it's 5 stars, and then there's so many things. And also, this was also after the first cheating incident. I was like, still thinking this is going to be 5 stars. Also, there were a few lines, a few specific words used in this book where I was like, come on now. Come on. Like, I thought whatever. I also underlined a few things that I didn't even tab. So if I do ever reread it, because my goal is to reread this book, and not be able to relate to anything in it. That's my dream. And see, this is when the tarot readers, their thoughts were starting in my mind, because you know what? Some of these lines I had to read on my TikTok so I could purely see what the tarot readers were saying. Because do you know what I'm saying? Okay, so this is like when I was feeling delusional last night, okay? Because there is no way in ever that I'm ever seeing this man ever again. The man I'm thinking of in my mind, like right now. I'm never seeing him ever again. Never. Yet, in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what? We are gonna talk. No, we're not. No, we are not. We're not. I'm never seeing that man again. I'm never talking to that man again. I don't think I want to see or talk to that man again, okay? But I get like kind of, I have attachment problems. Okay, so, you know how down bad I was? So the line is, that was supposed to be the last night I saw Jamie Shaw. I crossed out the name and wrote his. Guys, someone put me in shackles. I let him go just like I was supposed to. And I did my best to never think about him again. See, that is, I did. I'm doing my best to not think about that man again until the incident, which happened not last night, but the night before that, which derailed my entire process, okay? I really did start to let him go. But as fate would have it, that wasn't my last night. Not even close. And see, the problem is I heavily believe in fate. I heavily do. Why am I like this? I don't know. I wish I could say, but I've always believed in that. I've always believed in wishing on stars. Like when I was younger, one of my favorite movies of all time was The Princess and the Frog, and you know, wishing on the evening star was the thing in that movie. And ever since, really, I've always believed in things. I believe in the power of the ocean and stuff. Very wish-washy. What you need to like sit down and calm down, okay? Facts and reasoning. But I sometimes believe in fate. And it doesn't help this dude, right? Wow, I'm just really like spilling this. Good thing I'm never gonna see this man again. And I'm tricking myself into thinking that he's never going. What was it? There was a book that I was reading. Oh, there was a book that I was reading. And it's like clingy, annoying pests were like trying to hit him up. Who don't know where to take a hint or whatever. There was in God of Malice. That's what the dude was saying about like other girls. And I was like, oh yeah, that's the sign. That's what he's thinking. That's what he's gonna think if I ever try to. But I'm not going to, because I'm never gonna see this man again. I'm never gonna see this man again. Okay? But this was messing. This is when, only a little bit in the book, this was when things started to not go well. Because I was like, fate. So now I'm just gonna go through. I'm gonna go through. So you will stumble upon someone who will start a fire in you that cannot die. Okay, but then it's like the saddest truth, whatever. They're not always with whom we spend our lives. I don't even know why I underlined this. I feel like he did not do that. But sometimes, even when we know something is bad for us, we do it anyway. Maybe for the thrill, maybe to cure our curiosity, or maybe just to lie to ourselves a little longer. It was my fault, really. I was the one who asked for the distance, the one who kept it in place. Even though I meant to know he pulled away. This is when I started to get some sense in myself. I didn't love him. I was only infatuated. I only wanted what I'd never had. I loved the high, the burn, that was all. That's all I told myself. See what I'm saying? And then there's another quote. He still owned that monumental piece of my heart, of my soul, of my body. I felt him like a hummingbird right in the center of my chest, wings fluttering, blood buzzing. He was always there, but now instead of focusing on that buzz, I dulled it with other, louder, more demanding sounds. Every minute hurt until one day it was a sort of dull ache, and then with more passing time, it weakened to only a pressure. That pressure in my chest. That's what it was. And then now it's just, yeah. There are rare, shining bright periods of our lives where everything seems almost too good to be true. All the pieces fall into place, effortlessly and beautifully, and we get to enjoy the final masterpiece with not one single worry. They're the kind of moments where we realize we're lucky to be alive, to be who we are, to be breathing the air around us. They're the kind of days that remind us that we had to suffer through the dark ones, why it's all worth it in the end. Maybe we were bad for each other, but maybe we were bad for each other, but maybe we were bad for each other, but maybe we were good too. As much as I hurt Jamie, as much as he hurt me, we were there for each other always, and without hesitation, without expectation. I wasn't supposed to love him, but I still did. Tears found me before I even realized they were threatening to fall. I swiped at them harshly, my hands shaking before a scream ripped from my throat. I hated him. I loved him. I hated myself for loving him. I hated myself for letting him go, for letting him find someone else. I was furious, but the truth was nearly everything he said about me was true. I saw him with another woman. I saw him with another woman in his lap, her arm around his shoulders, and his around her waist, as he looked up at her, just like he used to look up at me. Every now and then she'd drop her lips to his, and his hand around her waist would tighten, along with the knot in my stomach. They were both smiling, laughing, happy. I believed him when he said that, but sometimes we say things we don't mean. We may mean them in the moment. The words, I can't read. I believed him when he said that, but sometimes we say things we don't mean. We may mean them in the moment. The words leave our lips, but as time goes on, good intentions get rubbed raw by failed expectations. Those on the promising end forget why they promised at all. Hearts jaded. I still remember that day, the feel of it, the pain. It was It was as if I was a ball of yarn, and that day was the day I'd become completely unraveled, the string frayed and worn. Guys, this is very vulnerable me reading this out to you. Hang on. They say timing is everything, and I was beginning to learn that timing was everything but kind to Jamie and me. Hang on, where is it? The one that I literally sent? It's about pain and stuff. Oh, this is why she reads romance books, okay, which I underlined because I was like, yeah, that's what I do as well. It's not. I read romance books because it's fun to fall in love, and with romance books, I get to do it over and over, which obviously, as you can see, where's my love life? I don't have one, and you know what? I'm never gonna have one. So yeah, that's right. To be different types of lovers, I get to feel the heartbreak of love and the successes. Love is the most powerful and real emotion we feel, and I think it's sort of magical that we can experience some of the greatest loves of all time through books. I hated this conversation. It sounded forced, like two strangers instead of two people who used to share the deepest secrets. That reminds me of the song Two Ghosts by Harry Styles. Wait, I feel like this would be their song. Even the colour thing kind of match. We're not who we used to be. We're just two ghosts standing in the place of you and me. I swear there's a specific quote. It was literally like what I loved so much. I literally cannot find it. Okay, I found it. It says, losing him hurt like hell, but in the end I still smiled because at least I got to have him. That's it. I want to reread this. I don't know. This book, it definitely changed something. I'm so dramatic. It definitely changed something. Now, I don't think I have any more coherent thoughts, really. I don't think I do. Because this book here, I genuinely, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. But those are my initial thoughts after finishing reading the book. Now, I'm going to come back in a bit later, tell you a bit more what I was thinking maybe. But for the time being, this is that. And I feel a lot better now because I've come to my senses, okay? You know what? It's good that I don't have a boyfriend. It's good that I'm not in love because otherwise I would not be able to read as much as I do. Yeah, isn't that right? Okay. Picked up this book right here. It's called Old Enough by Haley Jacobs. Let me do a quick little discussion about A Love Letter to Whiskey. So we have a lot of information on the back. Not much of it is about what this book is actually about, but it says this. Okay, I saw him first, but it didn't matter because he saw her. He was my best friend and I was his. We couldn't be together, but we couldn't stand to be apart. And if you're not truly lovers, but you're so much more than friends, what exactly are you? You need to stay away. You need to stay away because you will not recover. Oh, it will take you a long time to recover. Okay, someone was like, this book is kind of giving Magnolia Parks vibes. No. I think people just say that because they have a toxic relationship and there's cheating involved. Anyways, I also went into it knowing that it was going to be infuriating. So, and actually, I was expecting it to be infuriating, like me not being able to get to the pages, me screaming at the characters. I mean, okay, sometimes I raise my voice at the characters, but not to the level of getting so mad and infuriated that you can't even turn the page. That's just not the case. I literally could not stop reading this book. It was such an addicting book to read. It was something that I have wanted to read for such a long time and I just never did because it was expensive. And then I don't know what possessed me to get it. I think there was one left in stock and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get it. So then I did. Old school angst that kept me enthralled in turning the pages. Yes, I was very enthralled and I did keep turning the pages. It was honestly giving notebook vibes. I actually really like the little poems and everything. It is, the poems are a little bit devastating though, I would say. Can I just say though, that when I finished this book, I was exhausted. I was genuinely exhausted. And I definitely think that his perspective provided a lot of insight into situations where I was like, to the main character, you just gonna let that slide? So for that, I'm grateful for it because a lot of situations, and it was he sort of said his side. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. That makes me not be as mad at you. I will say that at the time when I read this, so last week, this was it was not a good book for me to read, but I've recovered now, so I feel then again I feel it was just the perfect time for me to read it because I feel if I read it now it would have not have had the same impact as it did last week, because last week I was not doing well. See, the first thing I just opened up, I hated him, I loved him, I hated myself loving him. Things like that, and it's see, now I feel if I read that I would just be oh, but last week, no, I feel I would have had more impact, but last week it was not good for me to read, but also it was the perfect book for me to read. It was literally the perfect time for me to read it, but also not, if that makes any sense. It was the perfect time for me to read it, but it wasn't. I know I already said this, but I'm gonna say it again. I hope one day I can reread this and I can look at my past annotations of past me and just be like, the way you just don't relate to that anymore. And I hope that I look at this quote, right? I wasn't supposed to love him, but I did. I hope I look at this quote and be like, who was I even talking about? Or I look at it and be like, I can't believe I thought that that was love when I now know what it actually is. I hope that's what when I read this book in the future, when I read it and I see my past, you know, self. See, you and I were a perfect fit. We were. There was just too much distance between us to see it. And it's like, well, no, that's just simply not the case. Honestly, the ending, I was like, you're joking. And then I was like, oh, okay. But I was like literally about to like slam this book into the wall. I didn't, but I almost did. This book, it's a cautionary tale against a girl best friend. So another cautionary tale we can add to our list of things, our arsenal, if you will. People we meet on vacation is the first one. I'm reading Manacled again. I want to read this tonight. My physical TBR is out of control. It is very overwhelming, and I would like to spend as much time as I possibly can this year getting through it. So I want to introduce this new series called TBR Takedown. I have seen so many other people do this. This is in by no way an original idea for me. It's not. I'm just basically like, oh, that's a good idea. So basically every single month I'm just going to do this video where essentially there's a few books that I have in my mind that I don't really have like specific video ideas for, because sometimes I'll be like saving a book for a specific video idea. I know it sounds ridiculous, okay? I know it does. So that's why I'm doing like a TBR takedown thing where I just read kind of mood reading in books that I'm like, oh, I want to read them, and then they can just go in this video. So we're starting off with The Coworker. Honestly, I don't know why I bought this book. I think I bought it because there's a sale on it. Next we have The Carahorn. I read quite a lot of books by this author, and I guess I'm just interested in this one. This is the plan so far. I'm going to start with The Carahorn. I think this cover looks really interesting. It's kind of giving me possession vibes. So basically this lady, she's a tour guide for the notoriously haunted Carrow House. So then she's asked to host a guest for a week-long stay. There's a storm, all their contact with the outside world is cut, things take a sinister turn, one of the guests dies. Remy is forced to consider the possibility that the ghost of the house's original owner, a twisted serial killer, still walks the halls. So I'm curious to see, because I've read quite a few of this lady's books, and sometimes it will either go with the paranormal kind of vibe or it will not go with that. And so it won't be paranormal vibe. So it's just, I don't know if this one is actually going to be one of the cases where it is paranormal, or it's one of the cases where it's not actually paranormal. I guess we'll see. Let's just begin reading, I guess. First of all, I feel like this cover is very intriguing. You know, we have the obviously derelict house, and then the woman floating mid-air, and then there's this smoke and everything. Now, what I will say about this book is basically the main character, her name is Remy, and every single time I saw the word Remy, I was just thinking, Remy, the ratatouille, the rat of all my dreams. That's what I was hearing the entire time, every single time I saw her name. And this book was written in third person, so that was quite a lot. I genuinely feel like Remy has such an interesting job because she is a tour guide for this haunted house, and she leads the tours, you know, takes people in. Well, okay, not takes people in, that makes her sound like she doesn't take people in, but she like takes people through the house, you know, tells them the backstory, tells them stories. And you know, the house, it's rumored to be haunted. And so obviously, you know, I really badly want to go to like a haunted, actually no I don't, because the thing is that I actually believe I actually believe in ghosts and stuff, so I feel like anything slightly bad that would happen, I'd be like, it's because I went to the haunted house. Like, literally, I cannot be trusted because I was driving home, right? How I got into my car was I used my keys. This was my stuff. I pressed the unlock button and got in my car, put my keys in the ignition, right, and then drove away. Like I do all the time, right? However, as I'm driving home, I'm maybe, I don't know how long into my drive, but I'm almost home. And I'm just like, I'm not driving my car. I almost pulled over because I'm like, this is not my car. I was genuinely sitting in this car thinking, no, this is not my car. I'm in a random's car. I don't know how I got in, but this is not my car. And it was such a weird experience because I'm like, what do you mean? Like, obviously it was my car. Obviously it was my car. Everything that's in my car, it was in there. I'm like, obviously it's my car. And yet for like a few moments, I was genuinely convinced that I was in a stranger's car. So I cannot, even though I really want to go to like a haunted place and also maybe like go, I don't even think there's even, I don't know, where can you even go to find like tours for stuff? But I couldn't, because I would just be convinced that anything bad that ever happened would be because of a ghost. I feel like this would be such a good movie, to be honest. It was fun, atmospheric, cozy, entertaining. I don't know what it is about this author's books, but every single time I read them, I kind of get that really like Scooby-Doo, you know, the mystery, the gang kind of vibe. I just do. Like, I feel like this is just Scooby-Doo. And I picture it in my mind as the cartoon Scooby-Doo. There's specific movies that I would watch a lot when I was younger. One of them was, I can't even remember it. It was some like ghost one on an island. But I literally imagine this as like a cartoon like Scooby-Doo. I'm not mad about that because I loved Scooby-Doo. I will say that I just wish that the characters, because there is kind of a lot of characters in this book. Basically, this man is like to her, Remy, I want you to host me and a few other people for basically this like week there, and that just to like study to see if there is actually ghosts, if it is actually haunted. And he's like, I want you to be the guide. So she's doing this like week-long stay, you know, there's all people there, there's this psychic person, there's a cameraman, you know, there's all that stuff set up. And there's so many different characters, and I just wish that they were a bit more fleshed out, they felt a bit more real rather than just random names slapped on a page. Also, there was times in this book where it did feel a little bit rushed, and I feel like we could have stayed with a few more scenes a little bit longer. It's quite morbid at some times, which I thought was a nice element. There are some creepy elements. The whole slip in time thing was cool. I would say it's okay. Like, it's, you know, I'd say it's like just a pretty, you know, standard average book. I will say that this book, it does have alternate endings with a particular character. So in 2 different editions, there's a character and they have different outcomes, and I'm happy with the outcome that was in my book, where the character did not pass away. I don't really know. I think maybe like, yeah, like a 3-star. I am sorry, you guys, but this is going to be the end of this TBR takedown mood reading mix kind of vlog, and I'm going to finish it without having finished this book here. Now, what I will say about this book here is this guy, he is malicious. Okay, he is. His actions are detestable, which I expected, considering it's called God of Malice. If he wasn't malicious, if he didn't do heinous things, I would be like, why? The false advertising, you know. Now, I am reading this book to simply forget about real world and escapism. I'm using this book for escapism, yes. And can I just say that I am getting that with this book here. I'm very interested in the whole college aspect, because at this college and there's different families and stuff, and there's different like there's some like gangs in this college. Okay, and okay, I figured out why there's the mask on here. I don't know, I actually really like this cover, by the way. I like these covers. So I have 3 indie covers, not for the same book, but like for the series, and then 3 like other editions which have like the sprayed edges, because I couldn't find God of Ruin, and I didn't want to have all of them indie and then just one not, so I'm like 3. That's even enough. The reason why there's masks, okay, is because there's this ritual, okay, it's not really ritual, it's like this initiation ceremony that this group of people called the Heathens do, and so it's this event, and okay, I'm trying to be serious here. There's this event, and it's books like this that when you're reading, you're like, how did we get here? What are we doing? What led me to pick up this book. Okay, this initiation is in summary, right? So they're called the Heathens. They send out this invitation, and if you win or whatever, whatever. So this year, the task is that this group of people, they wear these masks, these neon masks, the mask here, and they have like a weapon of choice. So the main guy in this, his weapon of choice is a baseball bat. And then they're in like this forest thing, and there's a group of people. Everyone have to wear these masks, they have to give their phones away, and then they have to like run and escape the mask and have to escape the masked people. Okay, that's what's going on. So people are just getting attacked. And wait, hang on, I saw this and I was just like, be serious here. Okay, I need to be serious here. Nikolai, I'm pretty sure he's the one who's in God of Fury, and that's the yellow book, but he's wearing a neon yellow mask. See, look at this, okay? Mask 12 stares at his hand, and I lift the bat and hit him in the head, sending him flying sideways. I swing the bat and aim at their legs all at the same time, and they fall into a heap on the ground. So, you see what I'm saying? They're just like attacking these people. During this book, he is an evil, vile man. He is very malicious, okay? He's a heinous individual. He is. He's like, it's like, whoa. But yeah, then it's a whole bunch of other characters, and I don't know, Lyndon, she's the main character, she's an artist and everything. And yeah, so I'm not going to finish this book in this vlog here. I'm ending the mood reading TBR takedown vlog here. Now, hopefully in the future, these will be 2 separate videos. Separate one for mood reading and separate one for TBR takedown. But it's just, I don't know, I just had to merge them in this instance because I didn't read enough on its own. So at some point, some vlog, and I'll finish this, I guess, or there'll be a wrap up, or there'll be something in where I'll tell you like my final thoughts for this. But this book, it's just, again, it's one of those things where it's like, what on earth am I reading? You know, that's just the kind of vibe. And yeah, the dude is deplorable. I will be continuing it. I will be finishing his book, and I will be reading the rest of the series. That was originally going to be the end of this video. However, in my last reading vlog video where I read 70 fantasy books, this footage was supposed to go into that vlog, but I forgot to do it. So I'm just going to put it in this one, and I figured because this video is already a mess anyways, we may as well. So that's, yeah. 2 books left of this video. 2 books left of me reading these fantasy books. Now, we have Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands. I am not liking this nearly as much as the first one, and I don't know what it is about it, because I adored the first one. I adored it. That book is 4 stars. Thinking 4.5 stars. This one, I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like there's been a shift. I think definitely it was the atmosphere that I just loved about the first one. I love everything about this one. This one, I'm not really vibing with it as much. When the Moon Hatched. Actually, I'm up to chapter 54 now, because I'm listening to the audiobook. Can I just say, the audiobook narrator, I do not vibe with her. I do not like the audiobook narrator. I feel like she's making the main character here, just the way that the inflections of her voice, I'm just like, I do not like it at all. This definitely has potential. There's like very small skerricks about dragons. I want lots more about the dragons. We're not really getting that. Maybe the second book will have more. Will I continue this on? I don't know. I guess we'll have to see how this book ends and everything. I finished reading Iron Flame. I don't know. Did I tell you about that? I don't know. I guess I will tell you about that. So this book will not be getting finished here, but know that I am reading Onyx Storm. Okay. Now, what I will say though, I feel like this is controversial. I liked Iron Flame better than Fourth Wing. And I feel like I've not heard a single person say that. But whenever I was like, oh, I'm so disappointed in Iron Flame, I was just like, oh. And then I read it and I was like, oh, but I like this better than Fourth Wing. This one, I'm really like not that far into it. It's very jumpy. There'll be talks of situations and it just will jump. There'll be a little line break. See, line break, and then there'll just be a completely different scenario and situation. So that's something. Also, the fact that I'm the same age as this man, it's jarring, really. I read God of the Woods last year, but I didn't put it anywhere. So I'm just going to put it at the end of this video here. This video is already a mess, so let's just add more to it. I am on a book buying ban. However, I did buy a book just then. Like literally just then. I did a quiz, went to my local shopping center, went to the bookstore, and got God of the Woods. I cannot stop thinking about this book.
I don't know why I want to read it. It's classified as thriller, but everyone who has reviewed it that I have seen has said it's more literary fiction and like mystery, which immediately draws me in. Immediately, that sounds so good. I know a lot of people didn't like that aspect about it, but I do quite love literary fiction and I do love mysteries. So honestly, this sounds just so good, and I don't know, I like this cover. I know that the American version is much more greener, but I don't actually mind this one. And did I pay $35 for it? Yes, I did. By supporting local businesses, local bookstores. Besides, I wanted this. And I'm like, well, I'm not supposed to be buying any books, so I'm gonna be reading this like soon, like immediately. Now, I couldn't find it in the store, so I had to like ask the dude that was working there. And then he was like, there's only 2 left. And then he just picked one up and then gave it to me, right? Now, I have a book and it was missing pages. So he just gave this one to me. So I couldn't, in the store, what I would have done if I had found it myself, but I would have gone through and made sure that there were no missing pages. I couldn't do that in the store, but I did it when I got home. And yeah, there doesn't appear to be any missing pages. If there is, don't worry, I'll let you know. We can go back and return it. I'm so paranoid now. One Dark Window, I hate you for doing that to me, because now every single time I get a book, I need to check every single page and I need to not look at the pages, but like scan enough words to make sure that the words are actually different and make sure there are no misprints. And I have to do that for every single book I get. And then I have to do it multiple times because I'm scared that the first time I checked it, it wasn't good enough. So now I have to do that every single time. And then I got it because I was just like, well, now that he's like watching me, I can't just be like, hang on a second, let me just go through every single page in this book, because it's quite a thorough process, because I'm like checking and then rechecking again, and then I got to scan and it's entire thing. But what this book is about is, I think it's like a camp. Some say it was tragic what happened to the Van Laars. Some said the Van Laars deserved everything they got, that they never even thanked the townsfolk. What is going on? Something happened to the boy. The teenage daughter has gone missing in the same wilderness as her brother. Some say the 2 disappearances aren't connected, some say they are. This just sounds so good. I just can't stop thinking that I wanted to read it last month. Also, when I was in the bookstore, I saw they had like a box set of Avatar, but it was like in some fancy edition. I'm not getting it, okay? I'm not going to get it when the series isn't finished. But there was a fancy box set of Avatar, and I was looking at it, and I almost started crying in the store. Okay, so that's why, because initially I was feeling like, because remember, I'm new to fantasy. I have not read that many fantasy. I'm not a seasoned fantasy person, which is why I like it so much, obviously. But like, I almost did start crying. So I think my ratings that I gave it were right, because at first, then I'm not looking at 1-star reviews anymore. Because unless I need to be valid, unless I hate a book, then I'll read the 1-star reviews. What was I saying? I got a message about some sort of tax thing, because, okay, the tax return is due on the 31st of October. It is like the 22nd of October, and have I done it? No. You know what? I've actually never done a tax return ever. I'm 19. I got my first job when I was 17. I didn't even do the tax return then. It's so annoying. It actually enrages me. It actually makes me so mad. I'm not getting into it though. But what was I getting at? That this is Other Sadness. It sounds good to me, even though I haven't heard the best reviews. I don't care, because it sounds good to me. And then I'm going to read Beautiful World, Where Are You? Because I was so excited for that book, and then there's an entire problem with Booktopia, which is now shut down, so I feel bad for like getting mad at it. But like, Booktopia, it was this company in Australia, and then it shut down. Yeah, well, you know what? It sent me 50 books. Okay, 50 books. I just needed Funny Story, the pre-order of Funny Story. They sent me 50 books. 49 of them were other books that like, and then so many of them were Beautiful World, Where Are You? So every time I looked at that book, I was just like, remember when they sent me like 20 copies of that? And then I got mad at myself because I just had lost them in the boxes, but like my copy is kind of damaged a little bit, but I literally had like 20 other copies, so I could have swapped the damaged one for like a new one, and I didn't do it. So then every time I looked at it, I would just get a little bit like, but I'm going to read that one as well, Beautiful World, Where Are You? Because that's an anticipated book, because I love normal people. I am one of the people who love normal people. I can't stop thinking about normal people. It consumes me. That's going to be the 3 books that we read. My anticipated books. Okay, yes, I'm going to just read this for the time being, and then I'm going to go to work. one of my nails, I just cut it down, and yeah, goodbye to my nails. I'm gonna have to cut them all. It's okay. I kind of miss having like short nails. Oh, it looks so weird. Look how small that is. Okay, so this is now the new state of my nails. It's okay. They will grow back. I don't think about it. Okay. And then this is the book. This is the other book we will be reading. Beautiful, what are you? Did you see what I'm saying? The back has a whole bunch of weird markings. And then there's a whole bunch of like weird markings that... And I had literally like 30, okay, not 30, that's a bit much, but there was so many different editions that I could have swapped it. These are books that I predict that I will love and I will like rate highly. Like that's what I'm expecting because I love like literary fiction mystery. Also, first of all, I'm a little bit through this. There's like different perspectives and stuff. I'm like really liking it so far. I have a few more thoughts, but we'll talk about them later. But yeah, I'm liking it so far. Hopefully this reading vlog doesn't go on for too long. I don't think it will, because I don't really have like, for once, I don't have any like assignments due until like next week. So this week I don't have anything due aside from another quiz, and then I have a pretty big assignment due next week. But I'm not gonna be worrying about any of that until like it gets closer. Okay, yes. Okay, now let's talk about God of the Woods. So the fact that you can get lost in the woods, it's reminding me of this movie that I watched. It was very recent actually, and it had Dakota Fanning in it. I think it was called The Watchers. And she got lost in the woods. There's so many movies about people getting lost in the woods. I guess because it's like really scary. Because then like if you're lost, like especially in those woods, it's very hard to find you. Especially when it's like no cell service and stuff. So there's been a few things that I think could be relating. So yes, at the camp, it's past and present timeline, and it jumps around perspectives a lot. But this girl called Barbara, and then many years ago, she had a brother called Bear, and he went missing. And then now Barbara's missing. And it's like, is there a connection? And then there's someone called Slitter. Well, he's a guy, and he's evil. And then he was in jail, but then he escaped from jail. And then the main character, she's like got a fiance, but he does not like her. Like, he's horrible. She doesn't even like him, but she's just like, well, he's got money, and I need to be able to look after my family. So then there's that aspect, but he doesn't even like, his family doesn't even know who she is. And she's like, his family just thinks that someone better will come along. I'm throwing a lot of words actually. There's like a lot of main characters in this book, a lot of different perspectives. Interesting so far. I guess I just gotta keep reading. Let's talk about God of the Woods. Barbara's mom. Barbara's the girl who's gone missing. Her mom, at first I was like, her mom is so evil. Two things can be true at once. Her mom is all like, stop eating, like restricts her eating and everything. We know a little bit more about her mom now. Her mom was her mom's husband. Predatory men, they're everywhere. We also have known some developments. Maybe I might put this in the spoiler section. Okay, we're not having a spoiler section. So if you don't want to be spoiled by this book, now is definitely the time to leave, because I'm just gonna do it. I can spoil it now. So some more developments is that Barbara, it's been said that like she was doing like these like night activities, whatever the hell they are, like where she was sneaking out. And like, cause she and the other one, isn't it like Tracy? No. The one who is like, her parents are divorced and she wanted to spend the summer reading, but instead her dad was like, go to summer camp. That one, they have a little friendship and she's like really nervous and stuff. But yeah, we've learned about that. Also, Jacob is terrifying. Jacob is horrifying. Like, do people like not lock their doors? He is like showering in people's houses. He's living in there. There's a scene when there's the woman and he's just like standing there like ready to kill her if she sees him. Like, how would people, like, maybe it's just because like I notice everything. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like I can tell if someone has walked in my house that is not like the residents that live in my house, because like the air is different, and I'm like, who was here? I would know if someone had used the shower. What I will say about this book is that I'm noticing like a lot of more telling. So I'm going to give you an example. So someone escaped from a prison and we were told that, but I would say that escaping from a prison is something like very exciting. Would it not have been better to like see him escape? Like, how did he escape from prison? Like, we know what he did to lead up to that, so he'd be like unsuspecting and stuff, but how did he escape? And like, if it's not like the focus of the book, then why include his perspective then? This dude's in a prison's perspective. I don't want to say too much about it. I don't want to say, but like, that's an example of like the things that's like she's telling, and it's like that would have been interesting to see. Maybe we're gonna get a chapter, I don't know, but I've noticed quite a lot. There's been so many things I'm like, and that's what I do notice when it's like switching perspectives and stuff. It's a lot of that, and it's like, please, you learn in primary school. Show, don't tell. You show the readers. Show them. What would you prefer? Someone being like, Jerry escaped from jail, or seeing it happen? You want to see Jerry escape from jail. You don't want to just get like a sentence. Okay, I also have a question. Like, what actually is this? Like, what is that substance? Like the pink thing? It's not sap. It looks a little bit like bubblegum or paint. Oh my god, it's paint. Yeah, because... Wait, I'm so stupid because Barbara, the daughter, she has like a mural in her room, and the mum was like, I'm gonna paint over it. And she found pink in the basement. Is that what it is? Oh, it's just paint. Here I was gonna be like, we're gonna find out. It's literally just the mum who painted, isn't it? Surely that's like what it is, the mum painting. Also, I like that looks like a crow, but it's not, it's a person. And that's cool. It's like a little like optical illusion thing. Do you remember Bunny? A Secret History is literally up there. I loved A Secret History. I want to reread that book so badly. Like, that's a good book. Babel was also really good. I don't actually feel tired. I have only had 2 hours of sleep, but I'm not feeling tired. And I've also not had any caffeine. Also, I had uni today, and then after uni I had work. So it's like, it's not like I haven't done anything all day. But honestly, seeing Bunny's name, it was like, I need to watch the new season of Outer Banks and just ignore the spoiler that I was told. No, I need to do my assignments. Alice and Peter's relationship is actually horrifying. It's horrifying. Ugh. You know what? I'm really glad Scary Mary was actually a real person in this book. Now, I did finish this book. I binged it today. I read the entire book today, and I do have some thoughts. What were my thoughts I had? You know what? My head is empty. Okay, so overall, there were just the characters in here, some of them, I was like, what? Like, okay, a dude got charged with statutory rape, right? And the girl in the book, she like confronts him for it and is like, so you were incarcerated for this. And he was like, she was 16, I was 19. The dad said I forced her. The dad said, and basically he was explaining that the dad said that he forced her. And then the girl in the background was like, he didn't. But, I don't know, I guess maybe different countries, different things, but like statutory, like it's about the age. Like, I thought it's because it's the age. The reason why it's statutory is because it's the age, like, the kid can't consent. And like, I'm saying this as someone who's 19. Ew, someone who's 16. You know what, I never really understood, but like, you get to certain ages and it's like, you think back on so many situations from when you're young, especially I think if you're a girl, you think back on so many things and it's like, ew, and you think about that and it's like disturbing because you think back on things and it's like, but anyways, I was really confused because Louise, that's the girl who then confronts him, then she just sleeps with him, like, immediately. Like, they just have the conversation and she's like, all right, let's have some fun. So like, again, there's just often, so why is so many, like, there's such an odd scene. And I was just like, but I just had to tell you because like the dude was like, it was statutory, but she wasn't forced. She can't consent. Dude, she cannot consent. The storyline, what happened? Okay, so I didn't really update much. First of all, I did, hang on, I don't want to say something. I didn't update nearly as much as I think that I should have. The thing is, right, it was pretty standard. I'm glad that I have finally read it because I don't know what it was about this book exactly, but like I needed to read it. There was something in me that was like, I need to read this book immediately. Was it worth $36? No, how much was it? I keep saying it's 36. It was $34.99. Okay. Was it worth that? I'm not too sure. I do not think so. Anyways, I'm just glad I know what's going on. I'm glad that I read it. I don't have much else to say about it. It's pretty standard. But yeah, it's definitely very literary. It's definitely has a very much more slower vibe. You just kind of like going along trying to figure out like what's going on. There's a lot of different perspectives, and I will admit at the start you're like, who are these people? But I feel like the author does a good job at like introducing you to them so that you kind of understand and you know whoever it is. Also, what does this mean? At the start she's like, for my sister Rebecca, who also knows these woods. These are all woods. Was it where the crawdads sing? Where people were suspecting like it was actually a true story and the author herself was that? I need to stop saying things. I just keep saying things that I hear and I'm like, it must be true. Okay, I'm gonna go to spoilers now, but yes, and then I'm going to be not finishing. I want to read When the Moon Hatched more tonight. And then also I would like to get it finished by tomorrow. It's really not that bad. It's not that bad. It's just, I don't know. Okay. So, what happened? Yes. So, there's kind of two things that happened. We have obviously Bear and then Barbara. Barbara, she ran away. She is in the woods happy. And, you know, I'm happy for her. I'm really glad that the scene ended like that. And for whatever reason, I couldn't stop picturing, you know, in The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, that little, like, cabin thing, that Lucy Gray and Snow near the end of the movie, like, that cabin there, like, that's what I was imagining for the place. But, like, then just, like, with a lake near it. What movie did I watch where there was something about... I think I even talked about this. I talked about this at the start, didn't I? It was, like, wasn't it called, like, The Watchers? Did I? I don't know what I'm saying, okay. But it was the movie, yes. Because Dakota Fanning is in it. And it's like they're in the woods. And then they're trying to like, they can't run. And then they're trying to escape. Wait, is that the movie? And then there was like the fairies. There was a phase at some point in this year where I went to the movies so much that they'd all kind of just like blend into one. Alice killed Bear. She did it on accident. Oh yeah, back to what I was saying. Yeah, my thing was, I was like, why in books they always make the person who has mental health concerns, they always make them like the bad guy. So I was like, it better not be her. But then, you know, we see like it was an accident. It was just manslaughter. I mean, okay, not just manslaughter. Like, it's not just manslaughter, but it wasn't like first degree murder because Bear was her entire world. And honestly, Alice, yes, she killed Bear. She was also a victim. Victim of everything. And like, what the hell, her sister sleeping with her I found that entire setup weird, the sister paying her off with the guy. Anyways, I was just like, first of all, I have a younger sister, okay, so I'm just like, I could never imagine doing that. I don't know, but the older sister paying off to this such older creepy dude and then sleeping with him, that relationship, ew. Okay, so disgusting. And yeah, I just think Alice, yeah, there's so many characters in this book that I was just like, very flawed, which I'm not complaining about, I'm just simply stating. It's interesting reading about these different characters. Yes, I'm really happy that Scary Mary was a real lady. And, you know, I think it does talk a lot about wealth and class and wealthy people getting away with things because they're wealthy and they have, like, the connections and stuff. And, yeah, it talks a lot about that within the scheme of everything and like covering things up. Small towns, everyone always covers things up in there. And then yeah, that is creepy though, because how they found it, like the dude, what's his name, Skiller? Yeah, Skiller, that's what his name, you know who I'm talking about, Jacob. Yeah, he was just like watching Bear getting buried. But yeah, you know, I'm glad that Barbara's escaped from that entire thing. I cannot believe that the statute of limitations means that the mom doesn't get into trouble. Like, what do you mean? The statute of I didn't think that the statute of limitations could pass if it was like murder or manslaughter or something like that. Okay, well, anyways. And yeah, I got it yesterday. I finished it today, so it's like I never even bought it, and it's not like... Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!